What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie2988 coming at you live once again through the power of the internet. And I made a video about the Nintendo Switch and which games you should buy if you're purchasing a Nintendo Switch. It did so well, I decided to make the second video, and this time we're going to focus on PlayStation, since so many of you are going to be picking up a PlayStation Pro or a PlayStation to play the new Spider-Man game that's coming out later this week. For the record, Spider-Man will not be on this list, even though it has an 87 over at Metacritic with 83 reviews so far, since the game is not due out for another 2.5 days. I can't really put it on the list, but you might want to check it out because it looks like it's doing really well. So I think it's fairly safe to start off with God of War, which is probably going to be my game of the year. I mean, there's some really good games coming out this year, so it might end up at the second or third slot, but I can't imagine how good a game has to be better than God of War. This is absolutely incredible. So this game picks up where the other games left off, and if you played the other games, you'll know they were like very combat-oriented, very combo-oriented. They told a very bloody story of vengeance with a lot of sex and a lot of gore and a lot of crazy stuff. And this game leaves out the sex and introduces Kratos' son for the story, but the story is so much better because of it. It is so much more incredible. And the gore and the violence and the vengeance and the anger, it is all there. It's even better than before. It's absolutely incredible. And now that Kratos has something to fight for, it feels so much more impactful and real. It's amazing. And at its core, it's a third-person action RPG with a ton of action, incredible boss fights, a lot of gear to collect, a lot of side quests to do, and a lot of skills to learn. I really think the depth of this game, along with the story, is pretty amazing. It's a must-play. If you buy a PlayStation 4 and you don't play this game, I think you've missed one of the best games of its generation. Next up is Horizon Zero Dawn, which is another action RPG with a lot of really strong combat, a really large variety of skills and weapons and stuff to learn, and with a bunch of side quests as well. This is another open world action RPG, and boy does this one run deep. I feel like a lot of PlayStation owners skipped this game because of how bad the marketing was for it originally, and some of the controversies surrounding it, and how bad the voice acting and the animation could be in some parts. It's certainly not a perfect game, but it is very close to perfect. And when it comes to the actual combat of shooting apart dinosaurs with magic bows, and then ripping apart those dinosaurs to rebuild other cool weapons and stuff, it's really, really good. Storyline is very good, top-notch, a lot of side quests, a lot of customization, a lot of weapons, a lot of skills, a lot of stuff to do. It's a very, very deep game, well worth the entry price. Next up is Uncharted 4, and I know what you're thinking, Boogie, should I jump right in on Uncharted 4 if I haven't played the other games? And I think it's okay to do that. I certainly did that. You will miss parts of the story, but you'll understand 90% of what's going on there. Now, the good news is they did port the other games over to the system, so if you do want to play those other versions, you can get them in the Nathan Drake collection and play through 1 and 3. I never bothered doing that, and Uncharted 4 is still one of my favorite games. Now, this game is likewise not perfect. The combat can become tedious after a while. I feel like there could have been way more customization, but that's not what makes this game good. It's the places you go, the puzzles you solve, the stuff that you find, the people that you meet, the characters that you get invested in, specifically the story of A Thief's End here for Nathan Drake. It's just a really well-told single-player story. I really think you shouldn't skip this one. Now, I'm sure you saw this one coming a mile away because this was one of my favorite games of all time, The Last of Us, and this is the remastered version with updated graphics and a lot of other cool features and stuff, including the DLC from the first game here all in one package, and it's a must-play for PlayStation 4 owners if you didn't play it on PlayStation 3, and if you did, it's worth it just to get the DLC. Once again, not a perfect game. The action combat is good. It's not always great. The crafting system is okay. It's not great. But again, it's the places you go, the people you meet, and the stuff that you do in this game, and the story that they are telling that makes it absolutely incredible. Now, for a remaster of an older game, it has some of the best graphics on the system. It looks really good for a almost launch title, and even now, towards the end of this generation, it still looks very, very good. But the first 15 minutes of this game, watch it somewhere on YouTube. If that doesn't compel you to buy this game, I can't imagine why you wouldn't. It is scary, it is heart-wrenching, it is beautiful, it's everything you would want in a zombie game, and even if you're tired of zombie games, it's fairly innovative in the way that those zombies are treated, in the way they interact with people, in the way that you're interacting with other people in the game. There's enough innovation here to keep you interested, even if you roll your eyes when somebody mentions zombies. So when it comes to JRPGs, the PlayStation 4 has about 1 million of them that you can either get in the digital store or that you can get on physical disc. I think Persona 5 is obviously the best of them. Now, I never played a Persona game before this one. I jumped in on 5, and I'm damn glad that I did. And I was originally turned off by the graphic style and how Japanese this game actually is. But I think if you can overlook that stuff, you will be just fine. The culture shock is real, but you will really enjoy this game. It's not only just a JRPG, but it's kind of a life simulator and a dating simulator all wrapped up into one. And the way the actual combat works and the way that you go into these mind palaces and all this crazy stuff is so unique and so different. And the game is like stupidly deep when it comes to collecting personas, when it comes to changing your classes or changing your job system, I guess is the proper way to put it, customizing your characters and all the different stuff that you can do. I put 100 and some hours into it. I still haven't beaten the game. I think one of my friends, Ashley over there at the No, says she's put some 200 hours into it. I can't believe how much game you get here. If you like JRPGs, you have to get this one. Now, if you know me, you know I can't handle really hard games. The Francis really comes out of me when I try to play those types of games. So the Dark Souls series has never been something I dabbled with. But the folks over at From Software made an exclusive for the PlayStation 4 that plays very much like one of those games, only has its own unique universe, its own unique world, and its own unique story to tell. It's called Bloodborne, and I highly recommend this one. The combat feels very, very real, and every strike you take and every time you get hit matters. The world is amazing to explore. The boss fights are like nothing else. You will grind and grind and grind away at some bosses, trying to get it right, trying to beat them. The customization skills, items, stuff like that is definitely there. I only got about halfway through this game before I finally got too frustrated to play it, but I definitely recognize that if you're into that type of game, this is one of the best ones, and you really should give it a shot. And then there is the much anticipated, much delayed, critically acclaimed The Last Guardian, and this game could not have possibly lived up to the hype for as long as it took for this game to come out. But overall, it's still a fairly enjoyable game. You play a young boy who's lost in the ruins that needs to get home. You help the Guardian, and the Guardian helps you, and it's a puzzle platformer in which you figure things out with some combat for the most part. It's mostly Trico doing all the fighting. And it's mostly a love story between a boy and his pet, and I have to say, it's very heart-tugging, very heartwarming, albeit kind of short, but still a very, very good game. I think if you can pick this one up on budget, you probably should play it because it's one of the best exclusives. And then finally, Detroit Become Human. And I think this one's going to be kind of controversial because it's only got like a 78 at Metacritic, and a lot of people did not enjoy this game, but it's here to represent a genre of games that is available on the PlayStation 4. And there's stuff like Beyond Two Souls, which got remastered for the system, Until Dawn, which is another game in this genre I can highly recommend. It's one of these story-based games in which you make decisions about how the story is going to go, and it's going to affect the rest of the story based on those decisions. Now, there's not a lot of gameplay here. A lot of the times you're doing stuff like washing dishes or painting or running errands or things along that lines. And most of the time, even when you are in the gameplay elements of it, it's mostly just choosing options A, B, or C. But it's a really interesting way to tell a story. It's not too different from the Telltale games if you're into those. And this is one of the best in that series. And it's a PlayStation exclusive. So if you're into that kind of thing, I think you'll really enjoy Detroit Become Human. Albeit, to be fair, if you want to play a shorter and almost identical game in the horror genre, Until Dawn could have easily been my recommendation. It's just really short. And there it is. There's my PlayStation 4 must-play list. Now, I've left off any game that I haven't personally played. I left off any game that was also available on PC or another platform. And I probably left off some games that you think I should have included. And if I did, let me know in the comments section below so the people who watch this video can also find those games. I thought about doing a PlayStation VR section, but then I thought maybe that's probably its own video because not everybody's going to be interested in setting through that. Though there are some really incredible games there like Moss or Until Dawn, Rush of Blood. There's some of my favorite games are on PlayStation VR. We'll do that video if you let me know if you want to see that in the comments section below. Guys, as always, thanks for watching. I love you very much, and I'll speak with you again soon. Now hit subscribe if you haven't, because more videos like this are coming down the pipeline. Hit notify if you want to be notified when I release these types of videos, and it always helps if you leave a comment, so please do.